Magical Misfits, it's Kaidain Ivy and welcome back to Atonement for Me. If you have been following my kind of mermaid adventures through Halifax Mermaids and with Raina, you may have seen online that I got my very first Mermaid Fluke, and I'm very excited to show because I get a lot of questions about mermaiding. And it seems like an interesting topic. But I also have training in special effects. So I kind of know a little bit about pouring silicone and making molds. So this is my very first silicone mer fluke. So when I talk about the fluke, it's pretty much the monofin that goes at the bottom of a mermaid tail skin. We can switch them out so you can have different outfits. You can use this just as a monofin if you were just going to swim or dive that way. And you can also clean them a lot easier if it's just one single thing that you can wipe down with cleaner, and then you can throw the fabric part, which would go up over your legs to your waist, in the washing machine, as opposed to the kind of original mermaid tail concepts, which were all made out of silicone. So they were a lot heavier. And you were kind of stuck with that one design. But this one was custom poured for me by Candy from the Mertailor. So we've got the iridescence, we've got different pinks and purples, and it has some glitter in it because she was looking at my Instagram pictures. So I'm very excited to have my very own fluke. And the exciting thing about this is now I can get skins for my mer persona, and I can also make my own tail, which I'm very, very excited about. It is quite heavy. It weighs about 15 pounds. So it's not the lightest thing to lug around, which is why I have this little backpack kind of thing for the fluke. I'm borrowing Raina's at the moment because I don't have my own. This one was Mertailor, so it fits the fluke perfectly. They go by different styles, which would be the shape of the fluke, and then where you put your feet in goes by your shoe size so that they'll fit nice and snug. And then you have your tail. So, dragon skin silicone is what is most used to make monofins as well as full mermaid suits. And it's the kind of silicone that I worked with in special effects way back when I went to college. So we were learning about how to fully cast the body and mold it in silicone and different other materials like foam, which you could do for special effects. And the evolution of the technology in a mertail has completely exploded in the past couple years. So back when I went to college and I was doing special effects, it would be the full silicone suit, which would be pretty much your option. And now we can have different skins, we can kind of switch things around. This particular fluke that I have is the Fantasy Fin, and it's the number 3. So it has a little bit of a longer shape than the 1 and the 2. Some people find this one a little bit heavier than some of the other classic mer flukes, just because this one is a little bit longer. I find that it is a little bit more powerful under the water. It definitely has a lot more speed to it. The first time I tried a fin in this shape, I went down and then suddenly I was at the other side of the pool and I was kind of coming up. I was like, oh, uh, that was faster than expected. You can also take turns a lot faster, so you can be a little bit more precise. And I find that it's a little bit easier um, to pose in motion with a bigger fluke. But again, some people happen to be quite tiny. We do have a couple mers in the Halifax Mermaids who are very, very petite. So they find that fin like this, as well as having a skin that has more fins attached to it, can be quite cumbersome in the water and very difficult to move in. Um, so it's all kind of about trying different styles. Um, against the water and see how you swim, because the different shapes are kind of like in nature. When you have different shapes of tails on dolphins and whales, the way that they swim and the way that they move through the water is different based on those curves and the way that it would cut through the water. Same kind of thing when you have a mermaid tail and you're mimicking those already aquatic mammals, and you would get a little bit more power when you're using a bigger tail. A smaller tail, you definitely um, have more agility with. Um, but also, I usually like to think in the scale of fish. If you have something bigger, they do have a lot of power back to them, but you have something smaller, you can usually go um, faster and take things um, sharper. So you go through the water um, like a little bit more like a bullet with a smaller tail. You can definitely swim with just the fluke or just your monofin. A lot of people will find that perfectly sufficient and comfortable. I don't like swimming anymore without at least a monofin, like just like a tail, because it makes me feel more magical. And there's just so much more power to it underwater because you can do it gives you these abilities that you wouldn't naturally have. You naturally don't swim that fast. You naturally can't take a corner of the curve that way. Our bodies and the way we swim just don't do that. But when you have the tail, it kind of flows and it gives you a little bit more of that motion and that power. And you can create those waves a little bit better, if that makes any sense at all. But I definitely never thought I was actually going to have my very own mermaid tail, or to be just in my house, in my kitchen, trying to figure out where to store a mer fluke. It's slightly surreal, and it was very, very surreal when Reina came over and we did the official unboxing to show the world. And she brought me some mer goodies, like my octopus headpiece that she was not going to use anymore, so she regifted it to me. So it's kind of exciting to see classic techniques and things that I learned in special effects in a different way, because all of the accessories and the outfits that we use as mers, a lot of them are silicone based or resin based, because you're not going to use anything with metal underwater because of the rust, and it's going to be, you need something that's going to be a little bit more waterproof, that is going to be able to withstand going in water, being used in motion, and that can come up and be dried again. So when I first kind of joined the Halifax Mermaids and I made the top that you see here, I was using the molding and casting techniques that I'd learned in special effects, and kind of transferring it to making mer props and costumes, which would be the same thing, but the octopus that I have here, the tentacles that are on my bra piece, and then the fluke are made out of the same type of silicone. So it is a medical grade one, and it's called dragon skin because it actually does feel very skin-like. Um, it is used in medical prosthetics and also obviously special effects quite often because of that quality, because it does have that kind of vellumy kind of texture to it. Which also, when you use pigments to color silicones, because they are not opaque and you layer them in very, very thin washes, you can get a little bit more depth and it actually starts to look like skin. It looks like the colors and the veins and things that are actually under the skin. And if I'm sure you can see in pictures of my tail, you can kind of see different color silicone. It has more of a pearlesque quality, and more of the fuchsia is a little bit more see-through. So I'm really excited to take it out on Sunday and try it out and see what happens. So there will be mer updates as my journey with the Halifax Mermaids continues. And I'm really, really excited to see what other mer adventures I get up to. And I'll definitely share with you guys, because that's just the tea.